Hey everybody, this is Jamey Jordan. I'm here in the studio at Eastwood, and we're going to build you a bomber seat today. So building a bomber seat is one of the things I teach in my class, and today we're going to build you a smaller version of what we normally do. Everything's going to be the same, the fundamentals, the tools that we use. It's just going to be a small, compact version. That way you can get the idea and hopefully make one for yourself at home. What we're going to need is a bead roller, a stomp shear, a throatless shear, a couple layout tools, some straight edges, and a few Sharpies. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a piece of metal, mark this out, and shear it down to 18 inches. So the piece that's left over is this 24 by 48 inch section. And what we're going to do is make our seat sides out of this section here. So we're going to wait and save this for later. And while we're here, if you don't have a stomp shear at the house, you could use a die grinder, a cutoff wheel, maybe even a plasma, whatever it is you need to do the job. But if you do have a stomp shear, it does make life a lot easier. Moving on, now we're going to jump to the body of the seat and start shearing and marking that out. All right, so now that we got our panel cut out, the next step is going to be to lay out a center line, our bend lines, and our cut lines, wherever we're going to lay those out at. And then we're also going to lay out our rivet lines all the way down and then add our rivets. This size of this piece right now is 18 by 48. But what the seat that we're going to make is going to be 16 wide, 20 inches tall, and 16 inches deep. So we're going to shear off a little bit towards the end, and then we're going to fold these edges and make some notches and then some cuts on the top so we can form it up. Yeah, so what we've done now is we're laying out the angles for the top of the curve on the top of the seat here. We've got that marked out, and now we're laying out using our layout tool the 1-inch flange that's going to go all the way down and that we're going to bend off of and that we'll lay our rivets out on. So this is a great use for this tool here. So whenever you're looking for a circle or an arc or something to just kind of lay out a nice curve, this one really works well. So you can kind of pick the right one that fits your situation, where it's going to be a 4-inch right here radius. So I'm going to find the 8 there and just kind of line up off that 8 and mark it out, and then we'll move down here and kind of repeat. All right, so now that we got our sides and our top laid out, the next step we're going to do is measure down, and for this one we're going to make it a 20-inch back. So I'm going to measure from top of here down 20 inches, and then our bottom is going to be 16. So we're going to go 36, and then we're going to add an extra inch to that so we can have another flange here. So 20, 36, 37. The next line we're going to do after we've got all this laid out is going to be 1 through the center. So that way I can use it later on to line up my panels as I'm laying in the inside. And so we're going to lay this out at 9 inches in the center. With that center line marked out, we can cut off those extra inches and get it to its final size. Yeah, make sure it looks good. Good to go. All right, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to notch this right here. So we got to lay this notch out so we can do the bend. So once we turn the flanges in on each side and we go to fold it all together, it has clearance on each edge. So we're going to cut this back around 7/8 of an inch to each side. So when we close it up, it should be close to 10 degrees. While we're here, we also lay out the rivets along the edges using the straight layout tool. So now that we've laid out all our rivets, the next step would be to run a line all the way through the rivets. So when you go to drill them, you follow the line instead of following the rivets. So now that we've got the panel cut, all the measurements are on there, we've laid our rivets out, we've got our bend marks, we've got our cut marks. The next step would be to grab our center punch, walk through there and center punch each one of these holes so that way we keep them straight when we drill. And then the next step will be to grab our cutoff wheel and notch out these corners here, 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 and take the top of it as well. All right, so now that we got everything cut out, take our die grinder, clean up all the edges around, take our file and finish up the cleaning. And then the next step will be to grab the drill, then drill all our holes that we've laid out with the center punch. And after that, we'll deburr both sides, then we'll take it over to the brake and bend it up. Okay, now we've gone ahead and drilled it, deburred it, everything's smoothed out. So the next step is going to be throw it in the boxing pan and bend it up. We start with the left and right 1-inch lips. Then the 70-degree seat bend. And finish with the 1-inch lip in the front. Okay, so now that we've gotten our seat all folded up, the next step is going to be to lay out our sides. So what we're going to do is take the seat, keep it very simple. We're going to lay it down to here, line it up as best we can on the edges, and then we're going to mark the outline of the outside. To make the curved side, I grab a flexible piece of metal, a buddy, and run a connecting line from the top corner of the seat to the bottom corner. All right, looks good, that'll work. So now we can take this rough template and we'll take our French curve here. I kind of like that right there, that looks pretty good. So we'll go with this for the bottom. And then we'll go for this up here. Okay, now that we got it kind of sketched out roughly, what we'll do is we'll go over and get rid of this section, and then we'll take our beverly and cut around the long line there. So we got a little bit of fat left over, and trim it down. Then we'll take another cut and just start eating away at the edge right there. And then we'll start trying to fit it to the seat. And then once we get this piece cut out exactly the way we want it to be, we'll flip it over, lay it here, and we'll draw out the second side. Back trimmed off, and now we're going to go over to the beverly and rough cut the front. The throatless shear is probably one of my favorite tools in the arsenal. The reason why is because you can cut a straight line and you can cut a curved line. And if you take your time and keep the panel all the way up here in the front, you can keep it from having little dents from every time you cut like you would with a normal pair of shears. I start by rough cutting this, cutting it a little finer, and then finishing it with a close cut. I fine-tune it a bit more with the French curve, then clean up the edges. Okay, now that we've got our seat side cut out of the blank, we've gone ahead and trimmed it and got it fitting pretty good. So the next step will be take this piece, lay it back down on our scrap piece of metal, and lay out our other side. Then we'll cut that and then fit the whole thing together. You'll notice I'm putting the cut pieces down plastic on plastic. This is because I want to mirror the part and have plastic on the outside faces of the seat. Now that we've got it all ready to go, we're going to lay it out, leaving ourselves enough room through the middle here so we can use this section for our side plates to go on the seat. We're always trying to be material conscious, so anytime you can find an area that you can use for something else, it's always advisable. Now we repeat the same steps as before and cut the second side out with the throatless shear. All right, everyone, you can now see that we've made the center section of the seat. We've cut out both of our two seat sides. So the next step will be to grab the drill, pop in some clecos all the way around to hold it in place, and then we'll start working on the middle section. Whenever I start drilling, I like to start at the bottom corner and I like to finish at the top corner. Once I got these two in place, then I know I've got the seat where it will not flex back or forth. Then I'll come in and maybe move in about halfway, hit one here and hit one here. I need to make sure that I leave room to be able to put my change sealer in the middle. So I try to stay away from doing them in the corners down here in the back. Okay, so whenever you're drilling out these seats and you're running your drill bit through these rivet holes, try to use your fingers and open them up right here like this and kind of center exactly where you're going to drill. That way you have pressure on both sides, because if not, you're just going to shove it through and it's just going to move. So make sure you open it up, watch your fingers, and hold it in place. Yes, you can use a big long clamp there, but hey, hands are free, you got them. So before we finish this part, we're going to pull all the clecos out and we're going to clean up our holes that we just drilled through. The reason we're going to do that is because the drill bit will actually leave a little metal in between the two panels and make it not fit as cleanly as it could be. So to eliminate any weird fit up, we'll pull these back out and we'll deburr both sides of these holes. So if you'll go in there and kind of clean it up a little bit, it keeps that little bit of a gap between the two panels. Now when I put my clecos back in, I can assure that they're going to squeeze the panels completely together, so that way I got a nice fit to continue building the seat. Another tip, I don't know if you've noticed yet or not, but when we laid out the seat in the aluminum, it has plastic on one side and not the other. Well, that's how we get the metal, with plastic on one side. So for me, I like to keep the plastic on the back side here. So as you can see, I can spin it around, slide it, scratch it up as much as I want on the bottom, because it's going to scratch the plastic. This section in here will be covered with another piece of metal, so we don't have to worry about the finish right here, because we'll worry about that on the next piece. So, and then also like to keep the plastic to the outside, so when you're visually looking at the side of the seat, you're looking at the clean side of aluminum instead of the scratched up side. It'll go to the inside. Okay, well, we just finished the sides. Now we're going to move on to the center. And here's a tip. Since we've made this seat 16 inches wide, we need to make our centerpiece 15 3/4, leaving ourselves 1/8 of an inch on each side for the rivets to pop through as we build the seat. So keeping that in mind, 15 3/4, and we're going to shear off our next piece to 7 inches here. So 15 3/4, 7 inches, and that'll give us our change stealer for the center, and then we'll start making that now. All right, so the next step, now that we've got the change stealer cut out, will be to peel the plastic off and start laying out our bend marks, our center point, so we can start laying out our dimple dies, and a nice little bead roll line around the outside. These are our bends, so the inside of the seat, when we go to bend it here and here, it'll give us a nice 45-degree wedge, which will put strength in the back of the seat to keep it from flexing or rocking as you're sitting in it. All right, so now that we've got our 1-inch flange laid out, what we're going to do now is find the center, north and south, so vertically and horizontally. Let's get the center figured out here and drawn. All right, so we have our bend line, we have our center lines, and now we have our bead roll lines. And I've radiused this around with a 1-inch circle to give us a nice little flow, so that way we don't have any stop and starts inside the change stealer. So the next step will be to take our dimple dies, lay them out across the center section here, figure out what looks the best, and go with that. And here's a tip for you. If you'll take a piece of masking tape, lay it across the panel, it'll keep you from scratching it, as you try to figure out the orientation of your dimple dies. Also, if you don't like the layout that you've laid out, you can just peel the tape up and start again. So let's go ahead and put some tape down and lay out some dimple dies. Okay, so I think we're going to do 4 dimple dies on this one. This is a 2-inch dimple. It's also a punch and flare, so it's going to now also cut the hole and dimple it all at the same time. So we're going to do 4 across here. So we're going to do some math and to figure out that, and here we go. After marking out the 4 dimple dies, we center punch them, then remove our tape. Now the next step will be to bead roll this, bend it, and then we'll do our dimple dies. We move over to the bead roller, which I have set up with the adjustable collar, table, and stencil dies. I do an initial pass and then add a bit more pressure to get the amount of depth I want. So what we're doing now is lowering the center section by step rolling this line around that makes the border on the outside look like it's raised, which will cause the dimple dies to look like they have more volume. With the bead rolling on this panel done, we bend our 2 angles to the change stealer with the box and pan brake. The amount you make each bend is a stylistic choice we leave to you. They will just need to sit flush along the back and bottom of the seat. All right, let's give it a quick test fit now that it's bent. Okay, now that it fits up pretty good, we've got the bead rolls done, we've got our bends done. The next step will be to drill out our holes for our dimple dies and go over there and pop some dimple dies. Dimple dies come in a variety of forms. We're using the metal punch and flaring dies, and these are cool because you can use them by hand with the included bolt or throw them in a press with a dowel pin. I like using these in a press a little bit better than I like the bolt and the wrench idea. It works well when you're using it remotely, but if you're doing the standard thing like this, you're going to have to take these dies and put them in a vise or something to hold them so you can actually dimple them. So for me, this just was really convenient. We repeat this process 4 times to complete the change stealer. So we'll pull it out. So at this point, we've walked through all the techniques used to build a seat. Measure, lay out each panel, trim, check, drill rivet holes, check, bead roll, and then assemble. We're not going to walk you through every moment of this. Instead, we want you to be creative and have some fun with the process. And after a few hours, you'll have something like this. All right, so you can see that we've got it all together. We've gone ahead and put a little bit of a bead roll design in the bottom and in the back on there. It's up to you, whatever you want to do to make your seat unique to yourself. But we're going to go ahead and stop here. The next step would be riveting. We'll maybe get into that in another video. But thank you for watching, and if you're interested in any of these products, they're available at Eastwood.com.